Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lecture we'll continue our discussion with arithmetics on data frames. So if I call my data frame from our previous lecture, we have this, and we can perform various arithmetics like addition. For instance, data frame plus 2, we'll have 2 added to each of the values in our data frame. We can also say data frame minus 6. This will subtract 6 from each of the values. Or we can say 1 over our data frame, and we get 1 divided by the value of each of our data frame values. Or other arithmetics that we can perform, let's say our data frame squared. We can say data frame squared, so each of the values will be squared. Data frame cubed, each of the values will be cubed. 2 new data frames, let's say, and then we'll save the first one in a variable called data frame 1, and we'll set that to be equal to pd dot data frame. And let's create a data frame from a dictionary. Let's say x for key and then value. Let's pass a list of numbers: 10, 0, and 10. And let's pass a second key, y, and then values as, let's say, 0, 10, and 10. Let's create another data frame 2, and save this in a data frame 2 variable. So pd dot data frame, and let's use a dictionary to create our data frame. So let's pass key 1 as x, and then value, we'll set that to be equal to, let's say, 0, 10, and 10. And let's pass a second key and value combo, y, and we'll set that to be, the values will set it to be equal to 10, 10, and 0. Okay. Now that we have created 2 new data frames, we can call our data frame 1 object. We have that. Let's call our second data frame. We have xy and 0, 1, 2. So we can say data frame 1 times data frame 2. We get that. So each of the values will be multiplied. Can say data frame 1 times data frame 2, and then let's say plus 5. We have that, so which is the same as data frame 1 times data frame 2, this plus 5 added to each of our values. So those are some of the arithmetic operations on data frames. Let me show you one function or method called transpose. So what this method will do is transpose the rows and columns. And we can simply use this by calling the transpose method, called the T method. Let's see an example. So we have our DataFrame1 object and then that T. So that will transpose the rows and columns. Let's run it. So now the rows and columns are transposed. In our original DataFrame1, the columns were X and Y, the rows were 0, 1, 2. But after it's transposed, the rows become the columns, and our columns in the DataFrame1 are now our rows. So that's transposing. And we do that by calling the T method on our DataFrame object. Okay, that's transpose, and we can do that on this data frame that we created, DFrame. So let's call our data frame. We have columns A, B, C, and then those are our rows. If we call the transpose method on it, DataFrame.T, so we have the rows as the columns. And if we don't want to see all of this, we can specify the rows by passing it as an index. Let me show you as an example. Let's say data frame, and if I want to see only the first 4 indexes instead of all of this, I can pass index up to 4, right? So data frame index up to 4. This basically means if I run this, I only see the first 4 rows, and then I can call the transpose method on it. Okay, so let me have this in a new cell, paste it here, and then call the transpose method. See, now we have these 4 rows are now the columns, and then this column values, these columns ABC are now rows. Great. And in the next lecture, we'll look at some of the NumPy universal functions that we can use on data frames. Thank you, everyone.